Who wants to be great? Any of you want to be great? Any of you want to leave a legacy? Come on.
Yeah.
Like what? What would you want to do great? It will be like, great.
Being kind.
Okay. I thought that climbing a mountain would make me great. It was the biggest mistake of my life. I climbed Kilimanjaro, and all I could ask the tour guides was, are we there yet? And for 5.5 days we walked. And when we finally got to the top, it was like, now what? And I thought that there would be a shuttle service or a donkey or a horse to take me back down. No. I had to walk all the way back down. So that wasn't great. And I think every single one of us, we try to do something that's going to leave our mark, where people are going to say, wow, that was great. Take the rugby yesterday. We weren't given much of a chance. England came in as favourites, but the South Africans were quite quiet. And everybody would. I didn't actually see the match. I must be the only South African on the planet, that failed to see the match. I sat upstairs here, push this button, no, push that, no. So, yeah, but we won. I heard. And so what I want to talk to us about is great. And we're going to play a little video clip of somebody that you may recognize.
I am the greatest. What round he's going down, and this comes a falling eight to prove that I'm great. And if he keeps talking jive, I'm going to cut it to 5.
Anybody know what that is?
Yeah.
Who's that? He's a ballet dancer. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. And the saddest part about him being so great as a boxer, when we see how disease affected him and robbed him and stole from him. But he proclaimed he was the greatest. And you look at some of the boxers today, I don't know, some could also claim to be the greatest. But I want to read to us from Matthew 18, 1-4. It says, at that time the disciples came to Jesus saying, who then is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven? Then Jesus called a little child to him, set him in the midst of them and said, assuredly I say to you, unless you are converted and become as little children, you will by no means enter the kingdom of heaven. Therefore, whoever humbles himself as this little child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. It's amazing. People constantly were trying to trick Jesus into saying something where he would exalt himself and lift himself up. Because what they actually wanted him to say, well guys, you're looking at him. I'm the greatest. I'm Jesus, Son of God, the chosen Messiah, the Christ. I've come here to save you all, and therefore, I am the greatest. But you see, he applied wisdom. And in humility, he said, actually. And he took that question away from himself, and he guided it there, because at the end of the day, Jesus always glorified the Father. Do you want to be the greatest? What sport do you play? Do you want to be the best that there is? What's your career like? Do you want to be top of the corporate run? The main Mackie what counts? The person that everybody will look to. You would have the corner office with the view. And everybody will look up and say, one day, I want to be great like that man. But it's so funny, our memories fade very, very quickly. Because if you go back in the Olympics years and years and years ago, you can't tell me who came first, second or third. You cannot. Maybe you are one of those geniuses. I can't for the life of me tell you. Matthew 20-21, and this was Jesus' reply. Then the mother of Zebedee's sons came to him with her sons, kneeling down and asking something from him, and he said to her, "What do you wish?" She said to him, "Grant that these 2 sons of mine may sit, one on your right hand and the other on your left hand in your kingdom." I think all moms are like that, hey? Hey, come on, hey, Johnny, he has to play in the first team rugby, but he's so small. No, but he's courageous, I promise you. He's really quite good, and he eats well, and we will constantly try and push our children to a place of greatness and prominence ahead of their time. I think her intentions were good. She thought it would be a good idea to promote her sons, that they would sit on either side of Jesus in his kingdom. Never mind in his synagogue or in his home, no, in the kingdom. And can you imagine the other 10? Can't believe these 2. You bring your mother to these meetings? What's wrong with you, man? Embarrassing. And the kids must be thinking, "Come on, Mom, come on, no, don't do that." Ever been like that? Where the mom insists, "No, I'm telling you, Johnny needs to be on the team." And the coach is saying, "Yeah, but he's the yay high." And everybody else says, "No, but he's got talent. I know. I take him to practice every week." And push. I actually looked at an advert from South Africa. There was a brand of tea, or there is a brand of tea called Joko tea. And the story goes, this man comes into the airport and he's rushing and he's talking about his business class ticket. And the lady said, and she goes, "Oh, no, there doesn't seem to be a booking for you." And he goes, "Do you know who I am?" And she takes her cup of tea and she sips it. And she puts it down and picks up the microphone. "Attention, ladies and gentlemen. There's a man here who doesn't know who he is." You see, we've never been like that. We've never walked into a queue or into a situation and felt aggrieved when people haven't done their job. We go, "Do you know who I am?" And then we tell our friends, "Oh, you should have checked when I went in. I gave them carrots, man. I just told them like it is." And the poor person is thinking, "Oh, have I had a cup of tea?" This is what Jesus is. But Jesus called them to himself and said, "You know that the rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and those who are great exercise authority over them. Yet it shall not be so among you. But whoever desires to be great among you, let him be your servant. And whoever desires to be first among you, let him be your slave. Just as the Son of Man didn't come to be served, but to serve and give his life a ransom for many." I'm looking for volunteers. We need the toilets cleaned afterwards. Any volunteers? Sweep the street, volunteer. Actually, what I am looking for one of you to preach next week, because I feel you have a great word in you, and it'd be a good place for you to launch your ministry. You see, we want to be like the latter. I want to be a preacher. I want to be in charge. I want to be the boss. It's like when you go for that job interview. Now, there's some do's and don'ts about a job interview. They always say, dress smart. Make sure you wear shoes. Very important. Okay. Then when you go in, never sit directly opposite the boss. Sit at 45 degrees. That way you aren't being imposed on his territory, because he will sit with both his feet on the ground and his hands on the desk, and he'll look you straight in the eye. And then make sure that you listen to the questions and answer appropriately and short. Don't give too much information. But then they come to that one question. And so where do you see yourself in the company in 5 years' time? I've been there. Oh, no, I'm going to take your position. Don't worry, we'll call you. Well, I wonder why maybe they lost my phone number. You see, because now we decide that we're going to be greater than this person, and we put their job in jeopardy. Do you think that he's going to hire me if I go in with that attitude? No. Any of you been in that position where you may have just answered the question? I know I did. Oh my goodness. And then, you know what I'd say to the guy? I'd say, just look me straight in the eye and tell me I haven't got the job. But don't tell me you'll call me next week. And I'm straight about it. No, Mr. Watson, definitely. I'll get my PA to set up the next meeting with you. Oh, great, wonderful. Not. Who is happy with ending up second? I watched the coach of England talk yesterday at the post-match interview. And all he could talk about was not being happy with ending second, with silver. See, they were quite happy to talk about what they were going to do, and the disappointment. I looked at the captain's face as well. And then I think there was another coach on the side, but all three of them, there was a deep mourning. And then I watched the two guys being interviewed from South Africa. And I'm not punting them, I'm just talking about the difference between greatness and humility and arrogance. And every time the interviewers tried to trick them into downplaying what England did, neither of them ever spoke bad. They always said they played their best on the day, and they just kept it focused. And then when they tried to put focus on the individuals, they kept on talking about the team being together. Are you prepared to give your life for many? Imagine you get the call tomorrow. I need you to go to the Middle East, to a tiny little town in the middle of the desert. There are no Christians to speak of. You won't have access to a Bible. There'll be no singing of praise and worship songs. You'll have to be an underground Christian. And I want you to go start a church. Any volunteers? There'll be no YouTubing, there'll be no social media, there'll be nothing. Just you in this quiet little desert place with hopefully more than one person. Keith? Oh, hi, Russ. Just want to tell you, after much prayer and fasting and consideration, we would like you to take the position of a church of 20,000 people. I've made it. I'm the greatest. I've reached the top. You see, Jesus would have stopped for the one. Many crowds were following him. Wherever he went, there were crowds and crowds just following him. But he always looked for the one. Oh, Zacchaeus, what's up? Coming to eat at your place. Woman at the well. One person, one person, one person. You're looking to be great. You need to be a servant and a slave to many. In John 13, 3-5, it says this: Jesus, knowing that the Father had given all things into his hands, and that he had come from God and was going to God. He had come from God and was going to God. Rose from supper and laid aside his garments, took a towel and girded himself. After that he poured water into a basin and began to wash the disciples' feet and to wipe them with the towel with which he was girded. The King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, the Messiah, the chosen one, Emmanuel, God with us, takes a towel, puts it around his waist, goes down onto his knees, and starts to wash his disciples' feet. I know a little bit about foot washing. When I first came to Thailand, I was told, whatever you do, don't touch people's feet. Taboo. They're not happy with that sort of thing. But God said to me, you shall wash people's feet. So I was in a dilemma. Obey God, get into trouble. Obey God, get into trouble. Are we prepared to wash the feet of people out there? And washing the feet need not necessarily mean physically washing their feet. It means, are we willing to serve people regardless of their backgrounds, regardless of their status? Or are we going to be a little bit picky? You see, God's called us to serve. How are we serving the body of Christ? How are we serving the lost? How are we serving the world? Is it through our own gratification, self-promotion? I am the greatest. We heard it. Are we prepared to wash the feet of others? Are we prepared to take time out of our busy schedules and to go visit the sick? Are we prepared to go sit with those that are broken-hearted and mourning through a loss of a loved one, or financials, or relations, or anything that's happened? Are we willing to walk alongside them quietly? Nobody even knows about it. The truth of the matter is, we are called to serve. Romans 12:3-8 says this, and it speaks about serving God with our spiritual gifts. For I say, through the grace given to me, to everyone who is among you, not to think more highly than he ought to think, but to think soberly, as God has dealt each one a measure of faith. For as we have many members in one body, but all members do not have the same function, so we being many are one body in Christ, and individually members of one another. Having then gifts differing according to the grace that is given to us, let us use them. If prophecy, let us prophesy in proportion to our faith. Or ministry, let us use it in ministry. He who teaches, in teaching. He who exhorts, in exhortation. He who gives, with liberality. He who leads, with diligence. He who shows mercy, with cheerfulness. You see, at this stage, somebody would run up to you with a glass of water and say, there you go now. Well, it's amazing. You know, take this a little from my mouth. That is a clue. You want to give me some water? You really not. Sometimes we must be not so subtle when we ask for something. Give me water, fantasy. Thanks, brother. That's the good luck. Thank you. Cheers. What is your spiritual gift? Many want to be prophets. Thus saith the Lord. Hey, we want to be prophet. Or I want to be a miracle. I want to work in the gift of miracles. I want to see dead rising. I want to see legs growing. I just want to see all this. Come. It's a miracle. It's a miracle. What is your spiritual gift? Can you sing? Can you play a musical instrument? Why aren't you? Are you in a position to give? Why aren't you? Are you in a position to serve? Why aren't you? Because you see, that's what's happened. You can have this whole pile of gifts, spiritual gifts that God endows us with, free. And then we sit on them, like T-Rex. You know, their little tiny little arms. T-Rex would do well eating on an aeroplane though. Because I know every time I try and eat during a flight, you have to like... And then they give you like short knife and fork. It's only this big, so you're like... And hopefully you haven't got too bigger people. I'm big. Then you get people bigger than me. Now that I'm the sandwich in between. And they're like chomp, 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 chomp. But you see, the truth is, we like to be served. We go to our favorite restaurant, not necessarily because the food is that good, because everyone knows my name. Remember, there was a TV program years ago called Cheers. Anybody remember?
Yeah.
Where everybody knows your name. And they all sit there and they chat. Oh, this is so-and-so and that's so-and-so. Isn't it great when you're sitting in the restaurant and the waitress comes up to you and goes, "Good day, Mr. Watson, lovely to see you again. Your usual?" Of course. Those at my table, like, wow, these people know your name. Shut up, let me tell you. That's what it is, what it is. Where everybody knows your name. Where we want to be served, where we want to be pampered. Imagine paying for a pampering, one of those pampering, you go to like a spa. You get to the spa and they give, and instead of them giving you nice soft slippers, they give you slippers with holes in it, and the gown's like too short, sleeves are up like here and the things like that, and and you go and you take a sip of your drink and it's warm, it's supposed to be an ice drink, and the person who's about to massage is about to murder you, like, how happy are you when you give the money? Thank you so much for abusing me. Thank you so much for not serving me. I can't wait to go. Oh, why don't I give you a bonus and a tip? No, we don't. We want to be served. We want what's worth. Now imagine God paid for our lives in full with His blood of His Son. And invested so much in us so that we can be a light and salt to the people out there, and we sit on our spiritual gifts and we do nothing. That's so crazy. But should we serve? Why are we doing it? So that we can go to our little board. Yeah. They remembered my name. I now have my own private parking. I don't just drink normal water. I drink that. What's an expensive French water? What's it called?
Perrier.
I've never drank it. I think it's like a sin. I promise you. The first time you walk into the shop, whatever, and you take the bottle and you put it on the thing and no, just the one. No. See, we tick all the boxes as we reach greatness. What are we doing? Why are we serving? Is it for prominence and preeminence? And where people are going to know who we are and what we've done. Some years ago, I belonged to a church, and they said, we're going to do some duties, and they gave me a short Stanley blade, little blade. What's a blade for? Toilet duty. But it's such a short, small little blade. It says, toilet duty. I had to go to every bowl. I was feeling so great. I felt so wanted. I felt I had reached the pinnacle of my spiritual walk with God. Cleaning toilets with a blade. You see, that is in extreme things, but are we prepared when it comes to doing the nitty-gritty, or when it's leading somebody to Jesus, or it's feeding them, whatever we're doing, why are we doing it? So that we can get the badge that says, I have arrived. Is being in control more important than humbling ourselves and being part of a team? Are we like backseat drivers? No, not there. No, turn now. When people are in my car, when I drove one, and they do that, my first thoughts in my mind is, this is probably a good time for you to get out and walk. You know when people tell you the whole time, go there, do this, do that. Are we prepared to be part of the team? So what is the secret to serving and serving well? It's in James 4:10. It says, humble yourselves in the sight of the Lord, and He will lift you up. He'll promote you. You see, we can walk away from a preach like this and go, yeah, whatever. Bit of a lunatic anyway. And we can walk away and say, well, I do my bit. I do. All the soy dogs here, I take them biscuits and we feed them, and then I do this and I help that, and I go there and I go there and I do this and I do that. But do we have a humble heart? You see, when we have a softening of our heart, no task will be too great. No task will be too menial either. It'll be a pleasure to serve the body of Christ. It'll be a pleasure to serve those that don't yet know that Jesus Christ is the Messiah. We need to die to self, set aside our own agendas, our own plans, and ask the Father, Father, what do you want me to do? You see, when that woman came to Jesus, Jesus asked her, what do you want me to do? Now, she had the opportunity of asking for anything, but she wanted to be the mother of the two sons that were sitting on either side of Jesus in the kingdom. That's my boy. Those are my boys. Oh, look at them. Aren't they just so handsome? Oh. I always dread visiting my mom with people. Oh, man. It's like... And she'll tell them these stories about me. And I'm thinking, I wish I met that guy. See, because that's what parents do, moms in particular. They'll try and build up for their children. You see, with God, we don't need to do that. Jesus took our shame. He took our sin. He took everything that would try and break us down and lifted us up. He says that we are to show people who the Father is. And how are they going to know who the Father is? They're going to know Jesus. And how are they going to know Jesus? Through the Holy Spirit. Let's learn to serve. Whether it's at your work, at your school, in your communities. If we serve and we serve well, it will be because of the love of God that dwells in us. Amen?